In Module 7, Investigation 1, we will think deeply about what an angle is and what it means to measure an angle. You will complete all parts of questions 1, 2, 5, and 6 before coming to class. Consider the angles in question 1. First, describe what an angle is and answer part A. Then, think about what it means to measure an angle by answering part B. For example, angle A has a longer ray than angle C. Should we focus on the quantity, the length of the rays, to measure angles? Is angle A larger than angle C? What is it about angle A that makes it larger or smaller than angle C? Answer the questions in part B carefully and then move on to part C. Part C asks you to focus your attention on quantities of the circle that are centered at the vertex of the angles in part B. What quantity do you focus on in part C to measure which angle is largest? What object is associated with this quantity? Finally, use your thinking to answer part D. Some questions to think about for question 2 include: is the angle on the left smaller, larger, or the same size as the angle on the right? If we are to measure the two angles here, should we use inches or centimeters in some way? Would that allow us to accurately measure and compare the sizes of the two angles? If not, what process might we go through to measure the angles in a way that would allow us to compare these two angles to each other? Go through the process of measuring the angles with a piece of string that is 1/12 of the circumference of the circles C1 and C2 in the problem, as part A asks you to do. Actually doing this process with a piece of string will help you understand how to answer parts A and B for this problem. After answering questions 1 and 2, you will have thought about the important concepts and will be able to answer question 5. Try your hand at it and be as precise as possible. Question 6 pushes you to develop a deeper understanding of the important concepts involved when measuring angles. Part AI asks you to measure the size of the angle in terms of a unit that is 1/4 of the circumference of the circle centered at the angle's vertex. We have included a sketch of what 1/4 of the circumference would look like for this part. Use that as a unit for measuring in part AI. For part AI, it asks you to measure the same angle using a unit that is now only 1/6 of the circumference of the circle centered at the angle's vertex. You will need to imagine what this unit of measure would look like. You will also need to imagine what the units of measure are in the other parts of part 6 on your own as you answer all parts of question number 6. Submit your answers to all parts of questions 1, 2, 5, and 6 in Module 7, Investigation 1 in the student workbook using your instructor's preferred method by the time and date that your instructor has identified.